for the car.
That's a nice one.
Costco special. 2 for the price of 1, you know, that kind of stuff.
Is there a Costco's on the Burlington, on the Vermont side?
Yeah.
Yes. Yep. Williston?
Winooski. Oh, yes, that's where Mother gets her exercise.
Walking around Costco?
You betcha.
And pushing the cart?
And pushing the cart.
Gets busy in there.
With
though,
all the,
Debbie.
with all the jelly beans and
Yeah,
all the
that
other.
stuff. Oh, yeah, she got candy today. She did, chocolate.
Wow.
Tom is in Australia.
Yes, he is. He's out of the country.
Alright, 6 o'clock. I'm here, Tom's Wilson, Mick's here, Barb's here, Chuck's here, Rick's here, Jim's here. We will go back to the, public hearing in a little bit.
I don't think they're rushing.
Yeah, I don't think
To the
so.
podium?
I know, but anything for
Yeah,
public,
exactly.
anything for public comment?
Neither for public hearing.
I don't really have much to report other than to say that before tonight's meeting, I just wanted to share just kind of a fun little tidbit. The Daughters of the American Revolution held their, I believe it was their 123rd commemoration of the Battle of Valcour ceremony over at Cooper Community College tonight. And I've had the opportunity to participate in the last couple of years. And I just think it's really incredible when we have some groups like that that keep those items alive. So just a fun little thing. And part of it is also delaying to make sure the Trevor would be here. So, as promised.
Good
Where
comfort.
is the DAR based out of now?
The late
They used to
Saranac.
have that really nice house on the corner of
Sar-
Oak and Cornelia.
Saranac is the chapter that they have. I don't know where they're headquartered.
I don't know anymore.
It used to be that house was
Yes.
deeded to them,
Mhm.
and they couldn't maintain it, I guess.
Gotcha.
They're all almost dead. I mean, you're serious?
That's why
Yeah.
I haven't heard the name in a long time, I was just wondering.
We do have a couple items that I'd like to try to bring to the floor tonight. Contract with public sector HR consultants, which is 250.
Whereas the town of Plattsburgh seeks to contract professional services to benchmark salaries and examine equality compensation plans for our non-union hourly salaried employees to explore introduction of incentive merit performance programs. Whereas the town has engaged in services of Ronnie M. Travis through PERMA for other services in the past and has been satisfied with the service provider. And whereas the town has received a proposal from Public Sector HR Consultants LLC, which can provide the needed professional expertise and also service as of best value. Now therefore be resolved, the supervisor is hereby authorized to, subject to review by the town attorney, to enter into the agreement with Public Sector HR Consultants LLC on behalf of the town of Plattsburgh. And to be further resolved that a copy of this resolution and attachments be given to the finance manager and Public Sector HR Consultants LLC.
Is there a motion? LaFave. Is there a second? Hebert, any discussion? I do want to put this in a little bit of context. Each of us currently, I can't speak for Tom because I don't know if he was on, I can't remember.
Not here at all.
He's not. I can't remember if he was on the board when this decision was made, but one example that I could use is there used to be the steps, and that changed, and there really was never a replacement or a good modeling done to review, and we know that some individuals have come to the town of Plattsburgh and they have then sought employment elsewhere. And we've been a little bit of the training ground for other areas. So we want to make sure that we're competitive. We want to make sure that we are also able to retain and attract the best people for our jobs, but we also have to be responsible to the taxpayers too. One of the benefits that I believe, I think there's many benefits to engaging in this consultant company, is we take the politics part of it out. And it really allows us to review some material in collaboration, but objectively, with the team members that we have here, and see where it comes from. And we've talked, a lot about incentive and merit and performance, and we've, I think, made some good headway. But I think this will help us get to the finish line, so.
One of the things I asked Michael this morning to run, and he got together with Patrick. I was interested in the wage dollars that were involved in the 26 positions estimated. That's just shy of $1.4 million in wages, just wages. So I think it's very important that we use this consultant, use that information to manage that, as Michael said, for the taxpayers and for our employees, to make sure that we attract and keep the right people. And I think it's gonna make for maybe a little better working environment, even in that everybody knows what's there, what the compensation package is gonna be, so I think it evens it out. I think it's money well spent.
Yeah, I think you're right, Chuck, because you can formalize the compensation structure, which I think has been done in the past, but I think we just needed to kind of keep improving it. And if there's opportunities to leverage the performance evaluation process, things like that, that can be helpful.
And there's internal and external factors that I think just need to be reviewed and, get our arms wrapped around a little bit better, so.
The other thing too is if you have somebody who's gone through 100 of these, it's kind of nice, as though, we're going through it maybe once or twice, somebody who does it for a living every day. They've seen every mistake, they've seen every good idea, so.
And they're gonna have the contacts also. When they send out their surveys, et cetera, they're gonna know who to go to, who to talk to.
It's a good idea.
One question I did have though,
Sure.
Michael, the proposal mentions, continuing program for 1 year. Do we have a plan for the future beyond that 1 year point? Are we gonna revisit it in 3 years, 5 years? What is our thought process there?
My recommendation as it stands now, and I'll stand on the fact that I think we have to be flexible to make some determinations, is that we should build in some type of evaluation that rolls over X number of years. Whether it be 3 years, 5 years, or what have you. I think that's only healthy to do, just kind of like your oil, right?
Yeah.
You want to make sure you're addressing that and doing preventative maintenance and have your dashboards and stuff like that. May look differently because we're going to have hopefully the incentive, merit, performance element, so that will be different. We'll have to do a different, deeper dive too.
Okay, yeah, that was just my concern, that I didn't wanna see it just sit there for a year and then
Yep.
go stagnant, go away. I wanna make sure that it's something
Yep.
that's gonna be there for a long time.
Yep.
I agree with that, that's just internally, so it's something that's expected
Yep.
year over year.
I think, Maggie, you said it very well in the past. We've been putting a lot of emphasis on infrastructure, but there's an element of human infrastructure, human capital, that we need to make sure that we're protecting and addressing too.
Yeah,
So,
well, we can't do any of that other stuff without these good people.
All
And
right.
it's something that they've asked for too. That's,
Yeah, we,
it's good to be able to
from
deliver that.
departments,
for
absolutely.
everybody.
all right. Without further ado, all those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
So does Carrie. At this point, we're gonna go back to our public hearing. The town board meeting, public hearing on October 11, 2018. Notice is hereby given that the town of Plattsburgh Town Board will meet and hold a public hearing there on Jew at the town hall located at Bank Road, and in the town of Plattsburgh, Clinton County, New York, on October 11th at 6:05 prevailing time. It's now 6:08. In relationship to provide citizens adequate opportunity to participate in the review of the local law number 2, 2008 solar energy local law, sitting construction and operation of solar energy facilities. At this time, after receiving a motion, we would accept that of written comments into the record for the hearing. and/or open the public hearing to the floor for public comment from the podium. Is there a motion to open the public hearing?
So moved.
Costick, is there a second?
Second.
Lefebvre, any discussion on either of those items? All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
We will now open the public hearing officially at 6:08 PM, and welcome anybody to the podium if they'd like to speak.
Told you to rush on.
You're not gonna say anything?
I will provide one comment, and then I'll see if there's anything else. I want to thank Trevor for helping to, to facilitate this. One of the reasons that we're seeking to do this is to be able to facilitate solar. It's not to stop solar, it's to facilitate solar within parameters that, make sense for the town of Plattsburgh. And I think in other communities, they have seen a wild, wild west approach. And again, it's not to prevent solar, it simply is to put some parameters on it so that we address the needs and the interests for our community. So I appreciate the legwork that you put into that, so.
Trevor, correct me if I'm wrong, the workshop that was done in May was a great precursor to understanding a little bit more how this local law can be developed, so.
That was intentional.
Yeah, I'd just like to pass along my thanks also, Trevor. I know you took a little bit of time. I had a couple of questions. There's some unique portions of the law that, from what I understand, may not, kind of groundbreaking effort there, so I think that's terrific, and I just think you and your folks did a great job with it. Thank you.
Appreciate it.
I don't think anyone realizes what an actual expert Trevor is on this subject. It's kind of mind-blowing.
Well, he uses it too.
Yeah, he
Yeah.
lives with it every day. I mean, this is a different level, and he's still a real expert. We're lucky to have him for that reason. We met with TDC yesterday, they're exploring some potential solar, and Trevor schooled us all. Even the expert who was at the table, Trevor, I think, was head and shoulders above him. But they had requested some diagrams to go along with the law. They said that the average Joe might have a hard time understanding it. Do you think that's something that is possible or necessary?
One thing that the Development Corp brought up was where we talked about landscaping and buffering in this law. They were just stating that to the average person, that it may require a little facilitation to understand. They thought maybe a diagram would be an interesting approach. My personal feeling is, luckily we're here, we can walk anybody through this, what they would need. That may be more applicable in an area that didn't have any staff or somebody kind of shepherding a project along, and if it was a little more ambiguous. We are a little more lucky to have full-time staff who would help the project through that process, so. And this may evolve as the town evolves and projects evolve. I think it may be sufficient for now.
It's probably like most things with this kind of language.
Yeah, you really gotta drill in, and it's pretty specific. Diagrams are great, but they're pretty sophisticated to get right as well. 'Cause what exactly did you show in that picture?
And I think Trevor's right. I mean, any of the feedback that I've had from planning community development was that you're very open, you're there to help, and you're willing to take that step forward. So I think you with feet on the ground is gonna be probably much more beneficial than the diagram.
Thank you.
I'm gonna ask one more time, is there anyone willing or interested to provide written comments into the record of the hearing and/or come to the floor for public comment? Anybody willing to provide written comments or interested in testifying and providing public comment? Anybody willing to provide written comments or testify for public comments? With no objection, I would accept a motion to close this public hearing then. Is there a motion to that
So
effect?
moved.
Hebert, is there a second?
Second.
Costick. All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
So does pass at 6:13 PM. Special thanks, Trevor, for coming out. We just weren't sure who might come out and want some additional clarification.
And if I could have just 30 seconds to kind of give you the next steps, just so you all know. From this point, we would, obviously leave say a week open to collect any other comments that might come in. We will prepare the seeker part 2 as lead agency, and then follow up at whatever date we have set for adoption of the local law after a full seeker analysis. So staff will prepare that for your review, and, eventual potential adoption.
Great, thank you.
Perfect.
Thank you.
Great
Trevor,
night,
very much for coming out.
Have a great night.
You have a better night.
I do want to acknowledge the fact that Matt Fabro is planning on being here this evening. He's been working with Trevor and others on this, and he got called in to a case. Some of you may have seen the breaking news earlier that there was a stabbing in the county, and he's been called in to assist with that, so unfortunately he was not able to be here. So. All right, another resolution for consideration is Resolution 18-251, water supply agreement between the town of Plattsburgh and the city of Plattsburgh.
Whereas the county of Clinton has undertaken a project for development at the municipal transportation facility and anticipates the development of a future hotel on the lands of the Clinton County located at the city of Plattsburgh. And whereas the city of Plattsburgh does not currently have water utility infrastructure in the place to serve the aforementioned development. And whereas the town of Plattsburgh is owner of a public water supply main located close proximity to the aforementioned development. And whereas the county of Clinton has requested that the town of Plattsburgh, a regional water supplier, consider providing temporary water supply to the city of Plattsburgh, which subsequently sell the water utility to the aforementioned development. And whereas the development of the project is not located within an existing town water district, and whereas the water supply agreement between the town of Plattsburgh and the city of Plattsburgh is necessary to provide water supply to the city of Plattsburgh. And whereas it is in the intent of the water supply agreement to provide temporary water supply to the city of Plattsburgh at the town-city corporate boundaries, also between the property boundaries of tax map parcel 233.6-1-2.1, with a control point being a valve located at the corporate boundary of the town of Plattsburgh. And whereas the town of Plattsburgh will assume no ownership or maintenance of any utility beyond the town of Plattsburgh corporate boundary, other than those described explicitly with the water supply agreement. Whereas the water supply agreement shall be in effect for 12 months. Whereas after review by the town of Plattsburgh and city of Plattsburgh water supply agreement, which is attached hereto and made part of thereof by the town attorney James J. Coffey. Now therefore be resolved, Supervisor Michael Cashman is hereby authorized to execute said attached water agreement. And resolved that a copy of this resolution be given to the finance manager and director of water and wastewater.
Is there a motion? Wolfgang, is there a second?
Second.
Gnostic. I want to just provide a little further context. It is an item that the city is supposed to be acting on tonight as well. It's just taken a lot of time and energy to get to this final kind of document. I want to thank Jim for helping to liaison with Dean in the city. I think that's been most helpful. This was a county priority project. It's not something that the town of Plattsburgh sought. We were asked to assist. It was my position that I wanted for lack of a better term, but probably as close as I could probably get to, a sunset clause in a sense. You'll notice one of the last whereases, it says the water supply agreement shall be in effect for 12 months. The idea behind that specific item is that we don't want to do this long-term. We're not looking to be in this. The idea is that the city should be, and the county should be building out the infrastructure and connectivity to this building, and they are currently working towards that. So, I mean, it's a work in progress. But that was to inspire them to get this done, both on the county and the city, so, all right.
So again, Michael, just for clarification to help our constituents, it's surplus water that's gonna be provided, right?
Yeah, and the usage there would be minimal at best too. Really, it's servicing, I think a women's room, a men's room, you know, whatever the sinks are, it's very minimal, so.
The other thing too, we have a standard paragraph in all our agreements if we have the right to discontinue at any time. So as Michael said, it's
Right. Right.
pretty small.
Yeah, the other part to it is, from my understanding, and I could be corrected, I don't even believe there's contracts for that building to be used yet. So again, it would be used briefly at best. But, you know, for certificates of occupancy and, you know, the whole gamut of projects, there needs to be a line of connectivity. So, and who says the two Plattsburghs can't work together on something?
That's right. Proof positive.
So, all right. I think we've labored on that enough. If there's no further discussion, all those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
So does Carrie. Thank you very much, folks. And this one literally came in late this afternoon. 252 emergency purchase for sewer pumps.
Do you need it?
I'll give you that
You
one.
don't have it?
There was a couple left on the
There was
table.
on the table.
Whereas the town of Plattsburgh procurement policy outlines the requirements for purchasing goods and service under an emergency. And whereas 2 sewer pumps have failed beyond repair and require replacement are critical to maintaining the town's sewer system. And whereas Mr. Paul Wright, Assistant Superintendent of the Water and Wastewater Department, has obtained quotes in the amount of $13,800 plus delivery costs. Quotes have been reviewed by Mr. Scott Stoddard, Director of the Water and Wastewater Department. Whereas new pumps build and be delivered in an estimated 5 to 7 weeks. Now therefore be resolved, the town board does hereby authorize the purchase of 2 sewer pumps. And it be further resolved, the supervisors hereby authorized and directed to sign all related documents to the purchase of said account SS 5.8120.2000. And it be further resolved that a copy of this resolution be forwarded to the finance officer and the copy be given to Mr. Stoddard, wastewater and water director.
Is there a motion?
So,
Costick, is there a second?
Seconded.
Ebert. And again, it really, the biggest part of it is a new pump build and delivery is estimated 5 to 7 weeks. That's part of the biggest concern right there. We need to get this moving forward, so.
Do you know what they're doing in the meantime?
They've professionally addressed it and jimmying it and, you know, duct tape, twine and everything else that they've had to do, so.
Michael, why wouldn't they have some in reserve?
And this particular one, I'm not sure why they're, I think it was because there was a critical failure on multiple. They could have gotten by with one, but
Okay.
there was the 2. So.
Doesn't this company right across the road, that Canadian company, build these high-speed sewer jet motors and stuff? I thought that's what they did.
I think theirs are much, much bigger than it really is.
Oh.
Yeah, and just the age of this infrastructure. I mean, we've seen it a couple times,
Yep.
so. All right, all those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Aye, so carries. All right, go back to the beginning of this. For draft material, minutes, monthly reports. If Tom would be here, the traditional 3% site plan returns, and then the professional planning codes and consulting, that's when they went out for the RFPs. Trevor has made a recommendation, and And then that's all I have, but I am going to, motion to go into an executive session, seek a motion to go into executive session to speak about 3 specific, individuals regarding, work history. And I am going to disinvite, Jim Coffey this evening, as he's one of them. So, is there a, motion to that effect?
So moved.
Second.
Hebert, Wave, all those in favor, please say aye.
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 Aye. Aye as well, Chuck?
Aye.
Okay. All right, we'll go into executive session at 6:24 PM. No action to be taken. Debbie, I think that gentleman is from a company called Solar Farm. One of the companies has been tabling up the mall and other locations. Trevor's even said when towns pass laws like this, they will usually come and listen. They don't always,
Well, you didn't pass it on.
oh, I know. But,
We just had a non-public hearing.
so, yeah.
What does he do?
I think he works for one of the companies called Solar Farm.
A solar.
Yeah.
Well, Chuck, have a good one.
Rick, you too?
Must be their